Welcome to another episode of Galaxy Marine's True Bass. Today we're on the Delta with Bernie Gaunt and Leroy Bertalero.
Today we're here on the California Delta. It's mid-April. We've had some weather changes. The air temperature last weekend was in the 90s. Today it's gonna be tough to get into the 60s. Today we're concentrating on team fishing. This is my team partner, Leroy Bertalero. We've been fishing for 10 years, team tournaments, and today we're gonna concentrate on some techniques for team fishing.
Yeah, let's go get some fish, Bernie.
All right, sounds good. This time of the year, you're going to find some bedfish, but the water temperature hasn't come up yet. It's below 60 right now, so we're not even going to concentrate on any bedfish. What we're going to do is we're going to throw a lot of swim baits, be offshore where the fish will be staging. So we'll see if we can get that going. Maybe throw some spinner baits, and if the water temp gets up a little bit, Leroy, I'm sure, is going to throw a spook. I'm going to throw a lot of swim baits.
Seems like the magic number on the top water in the spring is around 60 degrees because you see, like before that, you throw a top water bait all day, you might get 2-3 blow-ups, but when it gets above 60, it starts, and up to 65 to 70 it gets really good. But on the top water, it's interesting in the fall when they've been hitting top water all summer, they'll hit top water down, clear into the low 50s because they've been doing it. But in the spring, it seems like it has to be a lot warmer to get them started. Well, back in early days, I was working at the Fisherman's Warehouse about 6 days a month, and Bernie came in the store, and we talked, and we kind of got, we visited, talked fishing, and I asked him if he wanted to go down and fish the Delta with me, and we went a couple times, and we seemed to have a good time and work well together. So asked if he wanted to fish a circuit, so we started fishing one bass team, and it's progressed from there. We've been doing it now. We've eventually switched over to Angler's Choice, and I fished other circuits besides that with other partners at the same time, but we always fished at least one circuit together now for, I guess, going on 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
This is a nickel spinnerbait and a little pack-a-craw trailer on my stinger hook. And if you notice, if you can see it there all right, it's got a real good tail action on that, with that little crawdad on the back. And what we're trying to duplicate here is actually crawdads. One of the main food supply of the bass in the Delta is crawdads. Generally speaking, the person running the boat will fish reaction baits the way we fish down here, and where we're both not fishing finesse. The one in the front should throw the reaction baits, and if one partner is going to fish finesse, they've got to be in the back, because if your first person in the front is flipping or pitching slow up front, it cuts off the guy in the back. He can't fish reaction baits, because we tend to want to throw our baits maybe in towards the bank or forward. We do not cast our baits back. There's a fish. Good one. Good one.
Yeah, that's a good fish.
Oh. No, he's in the toolies. I'll just keep pressure on him. No, he's out.
Okay.
Nice. Oh, yes, nice.
5-pounder.
No, I back reel so that I don't almost ever break one off, because when he pulls hard, I can reel backwards. Okay. That's a pretty good start on the third cast of the morning to catch a 4+ pounder. Well, generally our style this time of year is just to cover a lot of water. We run this electric motor constantly. We do not go on and off. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is Some guys turn their speed way up with the electric motor, and then they're brrr, brrr. Well, that could disturb the fish. He's got one.
Not as big as yours, but
You'll see you got that on the rattle trap. But running the electric motor steady gives you
put it in the live well. It's on your side.
Galaxy Marines True Bass will be right back.
We do a little different. Our feeling is that the first bait into an area has got by far the best chance of catching the fish. So there's no use both of us fishing the same water. So we move fairly fast, and we'll often get in a rhythm where I make my cast, Bernie will make his a little further up the bank, and then I'll make mine a little further up the bank. Every cast, we're combing a new spot. And we'll kind of regulate the speed to where the time it takes to get that lure in, you're not missing water or you're not fishing a lot of the same water twice. But right now we're probably moving a mile an hour. And you know, if you figure that out in a day's time at an 8-hour tournament, we probably will cover very often 6 miles of shoreline. And all you need is one big fish a mile.
I'm yo-yoing this back. I'm getting out on the outside of that grass line and yo-yoing it. And that fish, I mean, hit right on cue. I dropped it down and he hit it. So they're really cooperating this morning.
Well, the other thing that I noticed right here, Bernie, is we've got a shade line that's coming out about 20 feet from the bank because it's fairly early. You know, we got that shade out here. That's really good. Also, it gives them a little more security to be in that little darker water.
And there's one, just like that. A little better.
Oh yeah, I'll have to help you on that. Oh, that's a dandy. Okay, let me help you. Now, one thing about it, when you grab the line like this, don't ever grab it. You want to keep your fingers open so that fish can move up and down through my hand. I'm just kind of guiding the location of it here. And then of course we usually net them, but when you're trying to lip these things, you have to be really careful with these lures with these treble hooks. There we go. You don't get that hook in your hand. Now sometime what you can do, I'm going to put it back down to show you another thing you can do. If you've got, like, I remember one tournament I had a super spook stuck with 3 hooks right across the face here. And my back, we couldn't use nets, and my backseater had the net to lip this thing. Well, he couldn't. So what he did, he kind of grabbed the line down close, and he put his hand under the belly, and then he laid it in the boat. So you can, if you can't lip them, just put your hand under the belly and slip them up in the boat. That's Bernie's fish, but that's a solid 4-pounder. Beautiful.
This is the time of the year they're going to start moving up. And this inside bin, it's real shallow all the way out to here. We're only in 5 foot of water all the way out to here. So this is an area that they'll use to spawn in.
Yeah, it's calmer water, less current. What I was going to say earlier, and got interrupted by that first good fish, we generally cast at about towards the bank or forward, like a 45-degree angle towards the bank. Sometime if we're paralleling the weed line, or we'll cast almost straight ahead, but you will not see us throwing a bait back behind the boat, because if you get hung up and you have to go back with your momentum, it takes a long time to get turned around and go back to get that lure loose. If you throw it a 45-degree angle forward and you get hung up, you just turn over to it and you come right to it. I'm going to camouflage this line right now. Now it's got a little bit of black on here from the previous bait because I generally run it up a couple of feet. When you retie, you probably lose 6 or 8 inches of line each time. If you put that marking pen right on the line, and you see now it's going from pretty green to black, go up a couple feet. And what that does is now when you rotate that line, see that? It's now camouflaged. You can see out here to where it isn't painted, it's still very visible, but where it's painted on one side, it's camouflaged.
One of the flooded islands, Little Franks, we're going to fish in front of the holes where there's some current. Now I'm throwing a what they call a fish trap. It's supposed to look like a shad minnow. Throwing it on a paddle head. This is a bait that we've used quite a bit in the last 2 or 3 years, but what we came up with is this new head. It's called a paddle head. It's made by Rick Teets in his Blade Runner, and that bait, you can catch 30 fish on it and it'll still be fishable. This head doesn't allow that plastic to be ripped off, so it's a great head, good hook on it, real stout hook. When we are going to fish a tournament down here and we start pre-fishing, we'll usually fish out of 2 different boats. Go to different areas. Leroy, I go to one place, I'll go to another. And sometime during the day, we'll meet up and share information, what's going on, and what tide, what baits that we're using. And then we kind of collaborate on what we want to do during the tournament. The tide is the real important thing down here. You can go through this area right here. We might not get bit right now, but when the tide goes down, we might get a fish every other cast. So.
Yeah, as the tide drops, they tend to pull out of the tulies to the edges because the water dropping there. Always afraid from the time they're small of getting trapped by dropping water. So they tend to pull out to the edges as it falls, and as the tide turns around and comes in, they move back up.
And one of the disadvantages of these flooded islands is there's a lot of obstacles out here. In fact, one of our pro staffers during the National Guard tournament left his lower unit up here. So you gotta spend some time in here to find out where your hazards are. There's a lot of places that looks like you can go right through, but you can't. And 10 minutes can mean all the difference. You could go through there, and on your way back out, if it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, that water's gone down enough, you're not going to get through there. So you got to be careful out here, and there's some hazards out in the middle also.
And as a rule of thumb, if you go out of a tournament and you've got, generally speaking, that first half hour of good, the dull morning light is one of your best times of the day to catch big fish, regardless of the tide, as long as it's moving. That first half hour of dull light is crucial. So if you run out of Russo's and you run to White Slough and it takes you a half hour to get there, you've just missed one of your best opportunities of the day to catch a big fish. It's gone. Now, right now, going down this Tule bank, I'm tending to work the shallower pockets here close to the boat and kind of ahead of the boat. He's going inside. He's going back, because there's no use me casting away inside there and cutting off his line of casting. I mean, if I keep going way back inside, I kind of cut him off. So we really work together in trying to cover the water, but not duplicate it or interfere with each other's casts. And right now, these fish in pre-spawn are pretty actively feeding, and they like current. And right now, you see, we're fishing these holes in the levees where there's a lot of current. We're looking for these pre-spawn fish that are still actively feeding. But just as soon as May full moon rolls around, and you say full moon because that's when those bass can defend their nest the best from the sunfish and carp and predators, is when there's a moon, they can defend it at night. Most year spawn is in April, May, or down here, May and June, during the period of the full moon. So we would not do very well here in the middle of the peak spawn in May in these holes, because the fish then have worked towards quiet water to make their nests and spawn. Water's only 57 degrees, Bernie.
That's bad.
Well, it's bad for top water.
More you fish, the more excuses you develop.
Oh, I could write a tremendous book, an almanac. Too windy, not windy enough. Water's too cold, too hot, too much current, not enough current. I mean, oh my goodness. Pre-spawn, right in here last year, there was a lot of big fish right in front of this wood, right around through, right in front of all this wood out here where there's a lot of current. It pre-spawned. But in spawn, they're going to go back in this wood, way up in that shallow, calm water, and they're going to spawn in this sunken forest here. A lot of doing well down here is just, again, getting the patterns figured out and knowing where to fish when it's, that time of year.
Okay, this is a bait that's come out. Bass Tricks is making it. It's not on the market yet. It's called a 4-inch paddle tail HP. The HP stands for high profile. It's a really good looking bait. We make it in different colors. This is the shad one. I've been catching a lot of fish on this. And the unique thing about this is Blade Runner has come up with this insert. This is a prototype of it. He's told me that the one that's on the market is a lot better than this, but these seem to work really good. And all you do is just insert it in the top, just break through the tube, and position, as you can see here, position the head up high, not on the nose, but a little bit above the nose. And this insert makes this bait rattle like a rattle trap. Plus it has the tail that swims back and forth, and this insert just makes this bait come alive. So we're going to try it a little bit and see how we do out here.
Galaxy Marines True Bass will be right back.
We're still here in Little Frank's. We just made a move over into the west corner. The water a little bit calmer in here, a little bit more grass down this way, less wood.
A lot clearer too.
A lot clearer. That's what we had some dirty water back there, and it's still real cool. The surface temp has not moved up very much today.
Now we're out in a shallow lake. The water here is probably 4 foot deep right now. It's going to drop down about another 1.5 feet by low tide, and we're just fan casting out over flooded grass. There's a lot of little pockets out in here. We can't see them. We're just basically fan casting, covering a lot of water. And there's a fish. Just got one. Doesn't feel very big, but it's a bass. So we're just fan casting out here and picked up one. Just a little guy.
You can handle that one yourself.
Small keeper, about 14-incher. That fish weighs about 1.75 pounds. And by the way, look, he's on the stinger hook only. Stinger hook only. Without that stinger hook, I would not have caught that fish. So that shows the importance right there of having that extra hook on there.
There's a fish. No bite whatsoever, just came up and ate it. The fish in real calm water, they get a look at the bait too good. You want them to not get that good of a look at the bait, because they're they're feeding all the time, and if they see something that doesn't look right on the bait, they're not gonna eat it. Yep, we're back over to the holes where we started out here in Little Frank's. Now you can start seeing the grass. and we're going to run these swim baits and spinner baits through them, see if we can pick up some fish. You want me?
Come out. So watch him come out and eat it. There's a nice one. Oh man! Here he comes. Oh, look at that hot fish. Oh, look at that son of a gun.
Okay.
Jump! See, sometimes you can make up jump on command. Oh, that's a dandy.
Oh yeah. It's like we got this morning.
Good. See that stinger hook's way inside? That's why it's important to smash that barb on them so you don't tear their gills and kill them. So you can get it right out of there. Oh, that's a good solid 4-pounder.
Stout.
Nice.
We started out this morning, we went into Taylor Slough. Leroy was throwing a spinner bait, and I was throwing this rattle trap type bait, and kind of yo-yoing it. We caught some fish right off in the low light conditions. I just thrown it on a 733 Powell and a Corrado reel. The other thing we did today while Leroy was throwing the crawdad color spinner bait, I was throwing the shad color. I didn't do very good on this, but I did catch some fish on the bait I showed you earlier today. It's the Bass Tricks. It's a 4-inch paddle tail. It's got a insert in it, and it really makes this bait go alive. I think it's going to be a really good bait once they come out with it. We were really hoping for a good bite on the turnaround, and we really didn't get it. I don't know why. We have a full moon tonight, so I think they're feeding at night and not really feeding very good during the day. But we caught some decent fish, and it was worth it.
And over the years, we've had a tremendous amount of great new baits come out, and it seemed like we go through all these fads of a particular crankbait or the Senko or one thing or another, the brush hog, and it seems like within a year or two, I don't know whether the fish get wise to them or what, but it seems like they just become less effective. But Bernie and I have found that probably over the last 6 or 8 years that this colored spinnerbait in the Delta has been something that just always works. So most of the tournaments we come down here, I'm going to throw this a lot, and Bernie's going to try other baits, and if it starts working real good, he'll put this one on as well. But this is just one through the day. Today I got 2 fish that were in the 4.5 pound range, 2 of our better fish, and they both came on this. Of course, this is mostly what I threw.
Well, this is what we came out to look for, and we got a couple nice ones, so let them go, let them grow another day.
I'd say for a full moon and cold water pre-spawn, those are pretty nice bass.
We'll see you next time on another episode